Connie and I were gone last week, and on the first leg of our journey, we went to the Buckler family reunion just outside of Fort Knox, Tennessee. This was a real Kentucky family reunion. We had a 150-pound pig that was roasted with homemade barbecue sauce. We had a keg of draft beer. We had the game called cornhole, which is like a big glorified beanbag game. We had fireworks, and we were out in this beautiful Kentucky countryside. And it was a rather diverse group of people. There were some guys that looked like they came just off the farm. There were young professionals. There were artists. There were several gay couples. It was quite a cross-section of America. And there were the 6 brothers and 2 sisters, the remaining siblings of the Buckler family. And it was quite a sight to see them interacting and relating. And they've all been divorced, every one. We used to call them broken marriages, or we used to call them broken families. I don't know that we hear that word much anymore. Broken families. Broken families. Estranged children. I heard some of the stories of children estranged from their parents, of siblings who haven't spoken to each other for years. And yet, almost all of them were there. Almost all of them come every year or two for the Buckler family reunion. And they enjoy being there. They love that family. On the one hand, you could look at this big menagerie and this big mess and say, oh, this is just nothing but a dysfunction junction. All these broken families and characters, but they love and appreciate this family. And I thought, you know, all of our families are in some way dysfunctional. There's no perfect families. There are only loving families. There are no perfect people. There are only those who live in and out of the love of God. And if we do that, as parents, as dads, as human beings, then that love will cover a multitude of sins, a multitude of our inadequacies. Trying to think of a little gift for fathers today. Not that you need it, but you're going to get one anyway. And I remembered when I was a kid, I had a marble collection, which I still have, by the way. It's in my office, in an old glass coffee jar. You can come in and look at it sometime. Don't take any of the marbles, but you can look at it. And when children come in there, when I'm doing counseling, or when children wander in there, I always let them pour it out on the rug and play with the marbles. And in that marble jar are my marbles that I had when I was a boy, some of my father's marbles, and some of my grandfather's marbles in that jar, which were usually made out of adobe-like clay substance. And I remember one of the things that we used to do as boys is sometimes we would get our marbles and we would fry them in a frying pan and get them really hot so they would crack. And they're really quite beautiful. In fact, there's a whole tray of them up here. And what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to come and take one of these marbles and let it remind you of the brokenness and the beauty of your own fatherhood and of your own life. And take it with you. If you're a dad, take it. You would carry around in your pocket and take it out and look at it every so often. If you're a mom, you can take one. There's enough for everybody here. You can all take one. We're gonna play a song. In fact, I'm gonna have Kara play the song that I mentioned. And as we do, I'd like you to come and just take one that fits you. Take one that fits you. There's not one that's perfect. They're all cracked. And just like us, not one of us. There's a little something in there. Sometimes you have to look pretty hard to find it, but it's in there. You might just pick it up on the surface. It might look perfect, like the rest of us here. But if you look closely enough, you're going to find a blemish in there. So take one that fits you. And if you would just come up, maybe we can start with the front row and then go back around and exit out the sides like we do for communion. Make this your communion sacrament today. Because this is about the grace of God. That's what this is. That God's power, God's grace is sufficient. God's power is made perfect in our weakness. So consider it your sacrament today as you come forward and take a marble.